In the tapestry of history, two great civilizations emerged under the same sun. Across the Indian subcontinent, the 16 Mahajanapadas rose, ancient kingdoms of immense power and culture, while to the west, the phalanxes of Greece marched, forging a legacy of philosophy and war. Today we journey back to 600 BCE to witness the parallel rise of these monumental eras. From the spiritual depth of the Ganges plains, urbanization flourished like never before. Among them, Magadha rose to dominance, mastering iron and elephants to unify the land. Simultaneously, the Greek polis like Athens were birthing democracy and Western thought. Thinkers like Socrates and Plato were questioning the very nature of existence. But how did these empires sustain their power? Through completely different styles of warfare. The Greeks relied on the phalanx, a rigid wall of bronze shields and spears, moving as one entity. Armed with the 18-foot sarissa, they were impenetrable from the front, a porcupine of death. In contrast, Indian armies mastered the chaturanga, a complex mix of infantry, cavalry, chariots, and elephants. The war elephant was the tank of the ancient world, terrifying horses and breaking enemy lines, supported by archers with bamboo longbows that could pierce armor from hundreds of yards away. These two war machines were destined to collide. Alexander of Macedon drove his empire to the very edge of the known world. At the Battle of the Hydaspes, east met west in a thunderous clash of elephants and spears. Facing him was King Porus, whose bravery impressed even the conqueror himself. Though the armies retreated, the cultural exchange birthed the Gandhara art, blending Zeus and Buddha. In 326 BC, Alexander the Great arrived at the banks of the Jhelum River, the edge of the known world. Here, under the monsoon skies of India, he would face his greatest challenge yet. On one side, the invincible Macedonian machine, undefeated across continents. Opposing them, King Porus, defending his homeland with an army unlike any the Greeks had seen. Between them lay the swollen river and a destiny written in blood. The silence broke with a terrifying sound. 200 war elephants charged. Iron-capped tusks and thundering hooves struck fear into the hearts of the veterans. It was not just a battle of men, but a clash of nature against steel. Then, the heavens opened. A sudden monsoon storm turned the battlefield into chaos. The river rose. The elephants, panicked by the storm, turned on their own handlers. In the mud and rain, formation broke. It became a struggle for survival. Men and horses were swept away by the raging torrent. Amidst the slaughter, a personal tragedy. Bucephalus, the king's loyal companion, fell. Fueled by grief and rage, Alexander led the infantry charge on foot. The phalanx pushed forward, surrounding the remaining beasts as the sun began to set. Victory was theirs, but it was a Pyrrhic triumph written in the ashes of the fall. As twilight fell, the wounded King Porus was brought before the conqueror. Alexander, weary but regal, looked upon his defeated foe with admiration. He asked the Indian king, "How do you expect to be treated?" Porus stood tall and replied simply, "As a king treats a king." Silence fell, then a nod of respect. Alexander saw not a prisoner, but an equal. Enemies became allies. The two armies merged, marching as one column towards the rising sun. Ahead lay the River Bees and the vast Nanda Empire. The campaign would continue. Across the River Bees, a sight to freeze the blood of conquerors awaited the Greeks. The Magadha host, 200,000 infantry, thousands of war elephants armored in iron and silk, a wall of flesh and bronze that stretched as far as the eye could see. In the command tent, Alexander, the king of the world, sat weary on his throne. The maps told a grim tale. His exhausted companions saw only death against such odds. Outside, the monsoon rains brought sickness. Bodies and spirits were breaking. For the first time, his veterans refused to march. The conquest was over. Years later, in the golden twilight of Babylon, the conqueror lay dying. A fever burned away the life of the man who had set the world aflame, leaving behind an empire that would soon fracture into chaos. But as one sun set in the west, another was rising in the east. Young Chandragupta, a simple cowherd with the eyes of a wolf and the bearing of a king, born to the earth but destined for the throne of all India. At the great University of Taxila, the master strategist Chanakya searched. He sought a weapon to overthrow the tyrants of Nanda. He sought a leader. In a dusty marketplace, he found him. Not a prince, but a boy commanding beasts with a wave of his hand. The teacher saw the spark. The student saw his destiny. The boy traveled to the camp of the Greeks. He walked among the invaders. He did not fight them. He studied them. Every formation, every tactic. He watched the great Alexander, learning how to build an empire of his own. But ambition outpaced wisdom. He struck too soon at the heart of the Nanda Empire. His raw forces were shattered against the iron walls of Pataliputra. Defeated but not broken, they retreated to the forests. The real war was just beginning. From the shadows of the forest, Chanakya wove a new web, not of direct confrontation, but of subtle alliances and silent daggers. After facing a crushing defeat in Pataliputra, Chandragupta Maurya and his mentor Chanakya were forced to retreat. The capital was too strong, and their direct assault had failed miserably. Legend says they learned a lesson from a child eating hot porridge. If you dip your hand in the center, you burn it. But if you eat from the edges, you can consume the whole bowl. Chandragupta withdrew from the capital region and focused on winning the border regions. He adopted this new strategy: dismantle the Nanda Empire from the outside in. he successfully took over the northwestern provinces. Crucially, he formed an alliance with the Himalayan king Parvataka, adding immense strength to his cause. Gradually, he began to expand his military, winning one province after another. The Nanda Empire was being encircled, and Chandragupta was moving towards Pataliputra to face Nanda again. This time, Chandragupta had a very experienced military. He had mercenaries which included Greek and tribal contingents from northwest regions like Punjab and Sindh. The Yavanas and Sakas marched with him. He followed various battle tactics like guerrilla warfare, striking swiftly and vanishing before the enemy could react. The massive Nanda army struggled against these agile attacks. But his war wasn't just physical. He used internal dissent by bribing the troops of Magadha. Chanakya's network of spies spread rumors and corruption, weakening Nanda's support from within. Finally, the stage was set. Chandragupta Maurya launched his assault to capture Pataliputra, the capital of Magadha. The city was a fortress, but the Mauryan army was unstoppable. The battle was so fierce that historians suggest the scale was unprecedented. It was a clash of titans that shook the foundations of the subcontinent. Around 100,000 infantry, 10,000 elephants, and 100,000 cavalry were involved. The sheer magnitude of the forces proved how desperate Nanda was to hold his throne. 5,000 charioteers were either killed or captured by the time Pataliputra was conquered by Chandragupta Maurya. The Nanda dynasty had fallen. With this victory, the Mauryan Empire was born, uniting most of India for the first time in history. A new chapter had begun. After conquering Pataliputra, Chandragupta became king of Magadha and made Pataliputra the capital of the new Maurya Empire. He used it as the political and administrative center for further expansion. From this base, he extended control over most of northern India, including regions stretching west toward present-day Afghanistan and south into the northern Deccan. Administrative and economic measures. He and Chanakya introduced major administrative reforms. The empire was divided into provinces with governors and a central council of ministers advising the king. According to Megasthenes, there were specialized boards for village affairs, city management, and the military, handling taxation, trade regulation, standardized weights and measures, and law and order. Chandragupta promoted economic development by improving roads, irrigation, reservoirs, mines, and state-run manufacturing, and by enforcing state monopolies in key sectors such as mining and arms. Changes in governance and society. Governance became highly centralized, yet bureaucratically structured. With written record-keeping, detailed land revenue assessment, and close supervision of officials, as reflected in the Arthashastra tradition. The state tightened control over agriculture and trade, including tolls and market regulation, which increased royal revenue and allowed sustained funding of the large standing army. Strength of his military. Greco-Roman accounts describe Chandragupta's standing army, roughly 600,000 infantry and 30,000 cavalry, 8,000 chariots and 9,000 war elephants. Though these numbers are likely exaggerated, but still indicate a very large force. This military might secured the borders and ensured peace within the empire, allowing art, culture, and trade to flourish under the Maurya rule. The architectural marvels of Pataliputra became a symbol of this new golden age. Chandragupta's vision laid the foundation for one of the largest empires in Indian history. Greco-Roman accounts describe Chandragupta's standing army as a massive force of roughly 650,000 infantry. These figures are often cited from the writings of Megasthenes, the Greek ambassador who witnessed the grandeur of the Mauryan court. His cavalry was equally impressive, numbering 100,000, a swift and deadly force that could outmaneuver any opponent. Supporting them were 6,000 towering war elephants and a staggering 100,000 chariots, shaking the earth as they marched. This colossal military machine was centrally supplied, with state officials strictly managing recruitment, training, and soldiers' pay. Following Alexander the Great's death, his vast empire was divided among his generals, leaving the Indian frontier fractured and vulnerable. Chandragupta seized this moment. He campaigned against the distracted satraps, sweeping through the Indus region with unstoppable momentum. His greatest challenge came from Seleucus the Furnicator, a seasoned general who sought to retake Alexander's lost Indian territories. Seleucus commanded a formidable force of nearly 400,000 men, fielding heavy infantry and veteran Greek cavalry. The two titans collided in a massive conflict. Greek discipline clashed violently against Mauryan numbers and ferocity. The Mauryan war elephants proved decisive, terrifying the Greek horses and throwing their rigid formations into absolute chaos. The impenetrable Greek phalanx, once the terror of the known world, crumbled under the relentless weight of the Indian assault. Seleucus could not prevail. Defeated strategically and militarily, he was forced to negotiate a humiliating peace treaty. He ceded vast territories to Chandragupta, including the key strategic regions of Herat, Kabul, and Kandahar in modern Afghanistan. To cement the alliance and ensure peace, Seleucus even gave his daughter in marriage to the Mauryan emperor. Following this victory, Chandragupta's empire expanded immensely. To the west, his borders pushed past the Hindu Kush mountains. To the east, his rule extended all the way to the fertile delta of the Ganges and the shores of the Bay of Bengal. From the towering Himalayas in the north, his dominion extended down to the Ganges plains in the south, uniting the land. Yet, at the very height of his power and glory, Chandragupta Maurya made a choice that stunned the world. he decided to abdicate his throne, voluntarily passing the mantle of leadership to his son, Bindusara. Leaving his capital, he traveled south to Shravanabalagola, embarking on a journey of deep spiritual awakening. Renouncing his empire, wealth, and power, he spent his final days in a Jain temple, seeking truth over conquest. Chandragupta Maurya left behind a legacy not just of military might, but of profound spiritual transformation.